Peace and greetings. We are back with another PCB design video. We're going to go and walk through the considerations and thought process. Wow. Consideration and thought process of this awesome PCB board from PCBWay.com. So how did we get from, some breadboard and wires to what I thought was a super awesome prototype to the final frontier, which is just an easy breezy, cool and sexy PCB. Let's go. So here we are. We have this really awesome, small, easy breezy, simplified, minified, awesomeified RFID NFC scanner. So this was the original design. And it was based off of this PCB prototype board. And the goal of this was to somehow try and fit as much as I can on this tiny board. I think this is 3 by 7 centimeters. So it was kind of a difficult task, there's only so much room, And then you gotta fit a ESP32 and 3 buttons. But somehow, some way, managed to get that done. Let's see if I could peel this off. And you got the wires and stuff under there. And if you're not familiar, this PN532 scans different cards and also scans the key fobs and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, once I got that done, I was able to draft a PCB design, and my friend over in Pakistan was able to do a really nice final design that we kind of agreed upon. And we were really trying to get it to be as small and sleek as possible. I found from Spacehoon, who makes the author, he had a really interesting design with his hack held, and it had one of the modules on the back. So I thought I'd give that a try. I never did before, and it turned out to work out pretty good. I used that on another device, so I think I'm going to keep that design idea, because then it saves a whole bunch of space. So here it is, all put together. I didn't solder it yet, but just to give you an idea. So everything will go like that, and then once everything's soldered, you're gonna cut the pins down so it's nice and flat. Then you have a nice layered device. And everything's kind of nice and laid out, and then finalizing the software. So I have a lot of cool features. So of course we have the SSD1306 screen. This is a 0.96 inch screen. And when you're selecting your screens, like let's say you want to build this kit yourself, make sure you get the right pins for the screen. Because if you don't know what I mean, there are two variations. You can see this is ground VDD, And VDD, VCC is both the same, but this is power ground, and this is ground power. So if you do mix these up, it will fry your screen most likely. You know, may not, but it's not smart to mix those up. And from what I find, these ones are more rare, the power ground versions, and these ground power are everywhere. So I'll probably, for the next design, switch over to ground power because I don't want to run into an issue where it's hard to source them, although I don't really ever think it will be. But just something to really consider. I had to learn the hard way about that. So for this, we are using the ESP32-C3 Super Mini. And this is really great because it has Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. So it opens up a whole bunch of different possibilities, especially with the software that I'm writing. There's quite a few different ways the data flow can go. Because there is this SD card module right here. And I highly recommend these ones because A, they're as small as the SD breakout board can get, and pretty reliable. I use them in quite a lot of projects. And yeah, this overall looks pretty good, and they're really cheap. I'll post links to the products down below. But going back to this ESP, so the whole point of the SD card is that this will be able to read data and then save that data to an SD card, or upload that data to a web server. So let's say this is somewhere mounted. You can control it from a web UI on your phone, and in that case, you know, you can track to see who's, you know, getting in and out. You know, you can use it for, you know, wireless IoT applications, and especially with the Bluetooth as well. You can make this a peripheral Bluetooth low energy peripheral server. So with your phone, you can track changes or data. You could see who's being authenticated. So you could do quite a lot with this. I don't really believe there's the software on GitHub for what I want to do with these. Because normally people just have basic read-write. But I'm thinking more of like IoT industry type applications with this, because it's a, you know, fairly simple device, but combined with some other things, IoT things, especially I would like to add a buzzer, you know, to kind of alert, and also, if possible, you know, some other accessibility or sensor type things as well. And then we have the 3 buttons, tactile buttons, obviously for the menu configuration. So moving to the final part, we have the PN532 module. Now, when you hear that PN532, let me see if I get close up. Here we go. It's a nice close up. So you can see this is an NXP chip, and they're the ones who make pretty much all of these RFID NFC chips. So that's the most important thing on this board, this chip. Now, Electrohouse doesn't run the NFC RFID game at all, but in a way for hobbyists they do. So there's going to be a few tiers, and hopefully I could kind of just never buy from Electro House ever again. There's a few issues with this board. The first issue is, for some reason, they thought it was a good idea to have two different types of connections. You have the SPI, which is tons of pins, and then you have the I2C. And then they have this super weird switch to control it all, which isn't really beginner friendly if you don't really understand that. Number two is this antenna, this white part. That's the PCB antenna. So you're already locked in, you know, you spend all this money and then you're locked in to the antenna that they want to offer you. And I know a lot of people probably don't know RF design or you know, radio design, not even radio, but just antenna design and antenna engineering. But you know, you really don't need to know too much. Just the fact that you don't really need to be using the antennas they have. So there should be an external one. And number three is that this is too big of a board. You know, because this board is mainly the weird separation of the pin connections and then the PCB antenna. So, you know, because we're doing trial and errors, this is kind of what I have to work with while prototyping. And we do have another version, and this is with the RC22, the MFRC522. And this is, I'd say, tier 1, because it only does MyFair 1K and some other things. And the PN532 would be tier 2, because it does quite a little bit more. It does MyFair 1K, 4K, and then a few NFC. It doesn't do too much, and it does not do host card emulation. And a lot of people buy these because they think that, but there's really not that much good documentation from a lot of these vendors. So for tier 3, and I do believe there's going to be more tiers as I go down this hole. But we have the PN7160 /1 module. And this is also from Electro House. You can kind of see it's, you know, more or less the same design. Maybe just a little bit more mastered. But this one is probably the best one you can buy as, I'll say, a commoner, a hobbyist commoner. This has the capabilities of doing NFC form 1 through 5. It does all the MyFair. It pretty much does all the tags that you really can think of in the 13.56 megahertz frequency range. And it also does host card emulation as well. So here's Electro House's site. But yeah, so this has ISO 1443A/B Felicia. It has MyFair 1K, 4K, obviously NFC 1 through 5, peer-to-peer mode, which supports both passive and active initiator and target modes, card emulation mode of type 3 and 4, A and B. So yeah, it has quite a lot. The only things, like, once again, gonna rip these guys apart, is that it has this 8. Now they just, I don't know, man. It's like they had this one that had 2 different layouts, and now with this, which is this is the cheapest and the only module you can get. right now. I'll get more into that later. But they have this 8-pin connector, JST connector, and you got to make sure you buy it when you buy the modules from them, because I forgot and I had to go and buy these extra elsewhere. So that's kind of annoying. Once again, no external antenna, and a lot of wasted space. So I had a custom PN7160 module that should be on the way soon. I do have the PCB designs and schematics. I just need to get it assembled, and I'm going to do that through PCBWay. And it's going to solve all the issues, issues from this, issues from this. I don't even know why these are out in circuit, because that's the whole point of, them making new models, is that there should be some that are retired. And my goal is that both of these, once the software and stuff gets up and running really good, both of these should be retired. But this uses the PN7150 software firmware, which you could find on GitHub. But my new one should be much smaller. I think it should be about, kind of around the same size, just like it's going to be smaller though. And then there's going to be only pins, through-hole pins for these. And there's going to be an external antenna connector with the UFL. So you're going to be able to add your own antenna, have more applications. The new version of this, so we'll have that at the bottom, but then, you can add your own antenna. So like imagine if this is mounted here, you can have an antenna, 2 feet away, going to some other aspect of the device. And you can be creative as you want with that. So yeah, it's just a device that would be great for IoT, your own thing, cybersecurity, that's customizable. You can modify the open source software. And yeah, I just think having a few different versions, of the NFC modules, really just showing the capabilities of NXP. And I know there's a few other chips that I'm probably not even aware of. I think that would be great for the community and really different industries. All right, so whenever you get your PCB, let's say you order one of mine, or you get a kit, or just any PCB you might have, you're going to want to go to PCBWay.com. And this is a site really you can do just about anything, especially when I want to get some 3D printed cases for these, because that's really the only thing missing. I'm going to be honest, I'm not too great with 3D designing. But, even if you do have your own printer, but if you want to go deeper into your prototyping, or you want to make maybe 100 cases, 1,000 cases, maybe 20 of 5 different products, you're really going to need to have it done quickly and professionally, and make sure there's no errors. So that's just also another thing that they do, especially CNC machining, various different types of 3D printing, sheet metal fabrication, injection molding. So really any idea you might have in that amazing brain of yours, there's probably something they can do, especially like I was mentioning, getting my custom PN7160 modules that I had designed. You can just take your PCB and your bill of materials and really have something awesome made. And what I mean is it's not impossible, but it's very difficult to do these, what they call these surface mounts. So you have like capacitors, resistors, all your other little things, like even these small chips. It's a lot easier if you have a manufacturing company put these all on there for you, because then it comes out nice and clean. And then once again, if you need 10, 100, 1,000 of them, you just give the PCB design, the bill of materials, and they'll assemble everything once you get your quote, and that's all good. All right, so that's just a quick overview. Like I said, I still need to put it together, and more importantly, I'm just wrapping up the software. But hopefully this is an interesting project that you might want to create yourself. It's going to be in different options. You know, you can just get the PCB, you can get the kit, you know, if you want to solder it yourself, have a little fun, say you made it, or you could just buy it all together. And there's going to be different versions. Because like I said, I am making a custom NFC RFID module. So not really sure how to go about with that, you know, to put it out into the industry, or, you know, really just got to think more about that. But, you know, I got a few different options. And of course, there's going to be a version possibly with like a battery. I mean, it really has to be one with a battery if you really want to make it IoT. So, you know, just working out the prototypes and bringing you along. So hopefully you enjoyed. And if you have any questions, let me know. I'll leave a list of the parts and some different links, like to Elec House, if you want to check out their modules. I highly recommend. I'm only giving my tough criticism because I'm trying to manufacture a lot of things, and you know, this is great for prototyping, but there's really no other options unless you go straight to NXP. So I'm trying to create options for people who are kind of in the middle. They're not commercial, but they're also not really a hobbyist, and just gonna go from there. Yeah, so I'll leave links into the different resources you can find, and yeah, peace.